This week on 52 Weeks of Sourdough, I decided to take one of my favorite pasta dishes and turn it into sourdough bread with Cacio e Pepe sourdough bread rolls. Basically, I took grated pecorino Romano cheese and black pepper and folded it into some sourdough bread dough. Then I made these rolls and the results were delicious. This is based on the Roman pasta dish called Cacio e Pepe, which simply means cheese and pepper. Ironically, these rolls would have been great served with pasta, and here's how you can make them. Start by making the dough. Get out a digital scale and a mixing bowl, and to the bowl add 325 grams of water. After the water, get out your active and risen sourdough starter. To feed your starter, start the night before and take 25 grams of starter out of the fridge. Then feed it 50 grams of bread flour and 50 grams of water. Then let it rise overnight for about 6 to 8 hours, and it'll double and be ready to use in your dough. Add 100 grams of that active and risen sourdough starter to the dough, and then take the rest of the starter and put it back in the fridge. Chop up the starter a little bit with a spoon to break it up, and then stir it into the water to dissolve. After the water and starter, add 450 grams of plain bread flour. I'm using the blue bag of King Arthur bread flour, but any brand of bread flour really should work fine. Then for the last main dough ingredient, get out your salt. I'm using kosher salt, but you can use any plain table salt or sea salt as well. Use 10 grams of salt, put it right on top of your flour. Now that all the main dough ingredients are added, stir the salt into the flour, and then mix the ingredients together with a spoon for about 1 to 2 minutes until the dough is fully formed. Keep mixing until there aren't really any dry bits of flour left, and you can pick up the dough like this. The dough should hold itself together when you pick it up, but it will still be a very shaggy dough. At this point, cover up the dough with a kitchen towel and let it rest on your counter for a half hour. 30 minutes later, it's time for the first set of stretch and folds. We will get to the cheese and black pepper soon, but that's going to come a little bit later. So uncover your dough, and you should notice that the dough holds together a lot better than before. Now is the perfect time for the first set of stretch and folds. This will build the gluten structure in the dough, getting the dough really strong, and it'll be better prepared to accept the cheese and pepper later. So for this particular bread, this is what the stretch and fold should look like. Grab an edge of the dough and stretch it up into the air, then fold it over the top of the dough. Then do the same process over and over, stretching a corner of the dough up in the air and folding it over the top. Do that 10, 20, maybe 30 times. Keep going until your dough feels really strong and starts to resist your stretching. After your dough has been sufficiently stretched, it feels stronger, go ahead and cover it up with a kitchen towel again and let it rest for another 30 minutes. Now it's time to prepare the actual cacio e pepe, the grated cheese and black pepper that you're going to be folding into the dough. Start with a half teaspoon of black pepper. A coarser grind would be better, but all I had was finely ground black pepper. Use whatever you have. Now for the cheese. If you want to make your cacio e pepe sourdough bread as close to the traditional flavor as possible, you need to use pecorino Romano cheese, a hard grating cheese made from sheep's milk. It is a product imported from Italy, but I've always been able to find it fairly easily. Once you've got your block of cheese, weigh out a 50-gram piece of the cheese. That's how much you'll use for this bread dough. Then get out a small bowl or plate and a cheese grater with very small holes and grate the cheese until you've got all 50 grams of cheese looking like this. Now your cheese and black pepper are ready to fold into the dough. It's been 30 minutes and we're ready for the second set of stretch and folds. We'll be incorporating half of the pepper and cheese now, and then the other half during the third set of stretch and folds. So pour half of the black pepper directly on top of your dough, and then pour half of the total amount of pecorino Romano cheese directly on the dough as well. Run your fingertips under some water, and then dimple the cheese and black pepper into the dough. Take about a minute or so and press down the cheese and pepper into the dough so that it sufficiently sticks and it won't fall all over the place when you're folding the dough. When the dough looks like this, you're ready to stretch and fold. This time around, we won't be doing quite as many folds because our main goal here is to just incorporate the cheese and pepper, but stretch one corner of the dough up into the air, then fold it over the top, then give the bowl a quarter turn, and stretch the next edge of the dough up into the air, and fold it over the top. Then keep stretching and folding 2 more times until you've stretched and folded all 4 corners of the dough. The cheese and black pepper should now be locked inside of the dough, and the dough can rest until you're ready for the next set of stretch and folds. Cover up the dough with a kitchen towel and let it rest for another half hour. 30 minutes later, uncover the bowl and add the remaining cheese and black pepper on top of the dough. Dimple the cheese and pepper into the dough with your fingertips so that it sticks, And then stretch and fold the four corners of the dough again, locking all of the inclusions inside of the dough, and you should be left with a solid dough that holds together like this, with the black pepper and cheese held inside. Now for the bulk fermentation, I like to get a glass bowl with a lid, and I let the dough proof inside of this bowl so that I can see how much it's rising. If you want to do that, go ahead and put some oil in the glass bowl just so the dough doesn't stick. Alternatively, you can let the dough rise in the same mixing bowl that you mixed it in. That's completely fine too. Flip the dough into the bowl with the smooth side facing up and the seam side facing down. Then press down on the dough to flatten it and then pop the lid back on the bowl and move it to a place on your kitchen counter where you want it to rise, and then just let it rise at room temperature for about 3 to 6 hours, however long it takes it to double in size like this. On this particular day, it took my dough 5 hours to double in size. Now it's time to divide and shape the rolls and prepare them for their second rise. So get out a sheet pan lined with a sheet of parchment paper, then move that off to the side. You're going to shape your rolls and then place them on top of that parchment paper in a minute. Carefully remove the dough from the glass bowl that it was bulk fermenting in and place it down on your kitchen counter. If it's a little bit sticky, that's totally fine. We can use flour in a minute to fix that. Grab a handful of bread flour and just sprinkle a little bit on top until the stickiness kind of goes away. This recipe makes enough dough for 8 bread rolls, and in this occasion I decided just to divide the rolls by eye and use a bench knife to divide the dough into 8 equally sized pieces. I'm positive that these dough pieces were not exactly the same weight, but if you do want to make your rolls the exact same weight, you can use a digital scale and scale them to 116 grams each, or about there. After your rolls have been divided, here is how to shape them. Sprinkle more flour on top of the rolls if they're still too sticky, but not on the underside. You want that to stay sticky so the rolls will actually stick together. Then go ahead and stretch and fold the roll, putting all the pieces under your thumb, and eventually you'll get a tight ball of dough like this. Flip the roll over so the seam side is down onto an unfloured part of your counter, and then smooth out the ball of dough with your hand, rolling it into a tight ball so that the seam disappears underneath. Shape all of the rolls using the same method, and now they're ready to move to the prepared metal baking sheet. Then for this recipe, arrange the rolls on the sheet so that they won't touch each other while they're baking and ideally won't rise into each other. The extra surface area will make these rolls crustier, which I think works really well for this recipe. Now these rolls are ready for their second rise or the final proof. So go ahead and put a little bit more bread flour on top of the rolls to create a nonstick barrier. Then cover the rolls up with a kitchen towel and allow them to rise at room temperature for about 2 hours or until they roughly double in size. Then 30 minutes before the rolls are ready to bake, preheat the oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit and have the middle rack ready to go for the bread rolls and then a rack underneath that for your steam tray. After 2 hours of rising, this dough was puffy, about doubled in size, and ready to bake. So move your dough directly into the middle rack of your oven, and I realized I forgot to preheat my steam tray along with the oven, so don't do what I did. Place a metal baking pan on the bottom oven rack before you preheat the oven, but if you have to put it in later, that's fine too. Right as the rolls go in, pour 1 cup of boiling water into that baking pan, and the steam will release during the first half of the baking time, allowing the rolls to rise up nice and tall and giving a better texture to the crust. Bake the rolls for 15 minutes with steam and then remove that steam tray. You don't need it anymore. The rolls have already risen to their full potential and they're ready to brown up in the oven now. So continue baking for another 10 to 15 minutes with no steam until your rolls look something like this, nice and golden brown. Move them onto a cooling rack to cool for about 20 minutes or so, just to take the edge of the heat off of the rolls, and then they're ready to serve. These bread rolls baked up nice and tall, they're really crusty in a great way, and they smell really warm and inviting from that black pepper and cheese combo. Kids, don't slice like this at home. In addition to the crustiness of the outside of these rolls, the inside is nice and soft, and that pecorino Romano cheese aroma really comes through. These rolls are warm and inviting. They have a hint of tanginess from the sourdough starter as well as the pecorino Romano cheese. And just like the pasta dish, Cacio e Pepe, these rolls look simple, but they pack a flavorful punch. They would be great served alongside pasta or with a hearty soup. I hope you enjoy this recipe, and I'll see you in the next video.